Breaking news, Mike Garofalo. The Lions have agreed to a contract extension with Pro Bowl special teamer Jalen Reeves-Maybin, according to his agent, McLaughlin. We'll give him now the BD. I don't know what that stands for. But it's a 2-year, $7.5 million extension with up to $8 million. That makes him the highest paid core special teamer ever. But I think it should be pointed out, yes, the highest paid core special teamer ever, but we've seen him be impactful at the linebacker position for Detroit Lions.
Playing that Sam linebacker position when he has to fill in, he can make some plays. He's a very athletic guy. He's good in coverage, and he's good on the blitz. He had a sack, I believe, in one of the games he played. Like, Germ can fill in different spots, and he's a great talent to have out there. And it's actually fully guaranteed $5.245 million with a $2.5 million signing bonus. So shout out to Germ. He definitely earned that. He was a great player last year for the for the Lions, and I'm happy to keep him on the team. He was I think he was number 3 on my bring back list. Yeah. So extremely impactful.
100%. I mean, I think a way to put it, and I'm not like 100% the way we always do each other, but like, I think beyond just making tackles, which you could obviously you watch him make, and that's why he's part of the reason he's in a Pro Bowl. But also he's a special team in the sense of like those moments we did go for on fourth down. Mm-hmm. I believe he has a completion where he's throwing the ball. I believe he's also ran it for a fourth down conversion. Like he does so much more. That's why they say like a core special teamer. He's more than that. This is, again, like you said, on our list to bring guys back of priorities. He was high up there, and you shout out Germ, shout out to him for getting that money, but I also want to shout out to Brad Holmes. And what this a segment was originally supposed to be is kind of like drawing similarities between he and Stevie Y. Because you guys talked about on BD today when I tapped in, and you're talking about like how Stevie Y is like not one to go spend big money on like just free agent acquisitions. Mm-hmm. He's going to re-sign his own guys that he's drafted. He's acquired guys through trade, and that's what we're seeing Brad Holmes do too. Now, obviously, different timelines and different sports for that reason, too. Like hockey, you have guys that literally have to marinate for like 2 years every once in a while before they can move up to the big leagues.
Most of the time, yeah.
But NFL, that you're getting those guys straight to the roster, like ready to go. 3 years makes sense for the Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions regime to turn around. 5 years, obviously, starting to see things change with the Detroit Red Wings. We don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs yet, but I think we're drawing similarities. And the reason I want to bring that up, too, is I mentioned in the very first segment watching GOATs at work. And I mentioned GOATs as plural because Stevie Y is part of that. We're not yet to see what the Detroit Red Wings like situation is to completion. But one thing he has is rings to go along with his general manager, I guess, regime or his resume. And you're seeing those same traits in a guy like Brad Holmes. Even to the point we talked about on the flagship station today. It was like, we're going to keep things the same. Like, we're going to focus on re-signing our guys internally, and then we're going to be very, very careful with everything we add with external ads. But I think you look at Brad Holmes, and you want parallel to, like, championship pedigree, I think it's Stevie Y. And I know they're two different sports, and if it sounds crazy, come at me. I don't care. But even when you look at the external ads, trades. How'd they get Jared Goff?
Yeah.
Trade. Mm-hmm. He's never went out there and made a guy the highest paid free agent. That's not their style. They're also not willing to pay a guy that they know is coming up on free agency. They know they're not going to pay. You saw it with Burt. You saw it with Okudah. You saw it with Swift and the Brad Holmes side of it. And I just like to draw like that championship parallel between both organizations because we're seeing them bring life to the city when it comes to our sports. Shout to fucking Brad Holmes and shout to Stevie Y.
Yeah. All right, so, I mean, it's amazing to see you have 2 of the top 5 GMs in their respective sports in the same city. And Steve Yzerman, if he builds what he built in Tampa, in Detroit, which is looking like that, I mean, obviously all the playoff success is still to come, and you're never going to predict that they're going to win 3 cups, but he is going into GOAT status of GMs in NHL history if he can repeat what he did in Tampa in Detroit. And he's not like too stuck on his guys, even though obviously he loves to sign his guys, he loves to re-sign his guys, but he also keeps he kept Joe Veleno. Mm-hmm. He obviously gave Larkin the big contract. So he kept Rasmussen. It's not, he just paid Rasmussen.
Yeah.
So it's not just him sticking to his guys, but also recognizing, understanding, and maintaining talent and cultivating talent. Like, Joe Veleno is a great player. As your fourth-line center, like, it's extremely impressive to have him there. Michael Rasmussen, he's one of my favorite players on the team. He's big. He can do anything. He can play wing or center on any line on your team. And getting rid of guys like Burt, like Philip Zadina, who had high upsides, but sorry, hey, Bertuzzi, we love you here. You're a great player.
Fan favorites.
Yeah, fan favorite. We're not paying you $8-9 million a year. Sorry, we'll see you later. Like, I got 4 of you in the AHL right now. I got 4 Bertuzzi's waiting to come up right now. I got 4 guys that could score 30 goals a year in the AHL right now as prospects. So we're not paying you $8 million when I got this pipeline ready to go. Sorry, bud.
And that's a perfect example too. Like again, these guys they're gonna make the business decision at the end of the day. Now we've seen Brad Holmes cry when it comes to speaking on certain guys. Talking about like his first draft class.
Stevie would never.
Last year, yeah, Stevie would never. Stevie fucking balls to steel.
Stevie's a fucking Sith Lord, man.
When he walks, you hear ding, ding, ding.
Literally,
it's just fucking balls.
When we went to the game, when D-Mac gave us the tickets, and we were up there in the alumni.
You heard the dinging?
Booth. Yeah, I heard the dinging. No, he was right. His booth it's like the booth D-Mac puts you in, the camera well, and then Steve Yzerman and Chris Draper in the booth on the other side.
Greatness.
I was looking over there. I was like, oh fuck, that's him. Oh shit. And like we left at the same time, and so he walked right in front of me as we were leaving. I was like, oh shit. I wanted to be like,
yeah.
Hey,
We had somebody messaged us today.
but they just lost. So I didn't want to.
Smart call.
He was not looking happy. I was like, oh fuck.
But I wanted to draw another parallel too. You talk about like guys that we love, and I don't know if Hawk was that to say, but like losing seasons, he was like one of the lone bright spots, right? Still considered like a top 10 tight end. I don't know if Burt was ever considered top 10, but definitely a guy that you'd like to have in your team.
He was all-star.
Oh yeah, well there you go.
Yeah.
Trade away Burt, T.J. Hawkinson, trade away. Like they go about business in the right way, and I just like the fact that you look at one guy who has rings to go along with that.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to see that them do this year, we saw the Red Wings do it. They brought in a guy like Patrick Kane. They took a shot on a great, and then they obviously made the trade for DeBrincat.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to this defense for the Lions,
are
we going to take a shot on a high upside blue chip type guy?
Yes.
We've seen the Red Wings 100% play out or work out for this Red Wings team.
Yeah.
Can a similar thing happen for the Lions on defense? Because we know how good this offense is with
the
Ben
one
Johnson.
difference with that one though with Kane is obviously you had him coming off the injury. He's 35 years old. Like if there's a guy like Grover Stewart, is that the guy who just tore his quad again? I don't. He's obviously not like the element that Kane is, but like
DJ Reader.
Like Brad's gonna take risk on guys like that. I mean,
I do believe
he's
Brad
not
Holmes
Kane, but Emmanuel Mosley was that. The CB1 for the San Francisco 49ers have a dominant defense. Like I think he is gonna grab a couple of those guys. He spoke about this station today too. He's like. I'm trying to think of the way he worded it. He's just talking about like the big name guys. It's like that's kind of perceived, like who's perceived as like a big fish. It changes in the eye of the beholder or whatever. But like, I think Emmanuel Mosley, that type of guy for us. I think DJ Reader, the guy you keep talking about, I think that could be the type of guy for us. Where it's like, to him it's a big fish, but like to everybody else, no one else is gonna see it as a big name splash signing.
I do believe that Brad Holmes is going to make moves in this offseason. I think he's going to bring in a couple pieces on that defense because he knows. He's been around it before. He's been around Super Bowl rosters. He knows how close that window is, and he knows in the NFL what you have to do to make it over that hump. Like you need to need to bring in that pieces. You need to do that. So I expect him to. I think he's going to bring in multiple pieces on the defensive side of the ball.
And this is where I want to draw like the parallel once more too. And I kind of mentioned it in the beginning of it, but like you can hear Brad. He said it today too. I think we have one of the. If you want to throw one of them up, Chris, it's I'll just read it actually. Brad Holmes doesn't feel a pressure or urgency to swing big this offseason because he's never been bought on the one player away narrative. What I think is going to happen, you're not going to see it in free agency. The same way you don't see it in free agency with Stevie White. They're never going to go out there and make a guy off the open market the highest paid player at the position because we know that's how it works on the open market. The market's constantly being reset when these guys are signed off the open market. What he's going to do, what I believe Brad's going to do, if he does make that blue chip signing like you're saying, there's blue chip acquisition, is you notice he's talking about free agency when they have these conversations. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to come in the form of a trade. And that's where, shout out to our guy Ryan, Lil Bird told me, he said he'd quit this job, the Detroit Lions trade out of the first round. But if that comes with like an acquisition of a blue chip player, I mean Brian's not gonna quit because like you're gonna be just fine with that. Yeah, like, I get that. Like the draft is here in Detroit, you want to see them draft here in the first round. But if he goes out there and he grabs a freaking, I can't even think of a name right now. I'm just saying for the sake of it, T.J. Watt, because we saw it in the mock draft a few weeks ago from a listener. You're gonna be completely fucking fine with that because you got T.J. Watt out of the deal. Yeah.
Patrick Surtain,
J.C. Horn, Chris.
Exactly. No, that's what I've been saying for weeks. It feels like, especially at that cornerback position, it feels like that option, if you want to get a true number one, is going to have to be finding some type of trade, some type of transaction, because free agency, it doesn't look like those top guys are going to be leaving their situations. And the draft, where the Lions are positioned. Unless, again, Brad Holmes, that's his evaluation. He can find the diamond in the rough. He's proven that a million times. But, I agree with you. I don't ever see Brad Holmes as a guy who's circling the same names that everybody's circling at the top of their. I don't see his free agent board ever looking like an ESPN free agent board.
Yeah.
Like I don't see that's how he shots. He's shown that, like you said, he'll take risks. He'll take risks. He'll take players with injury. He'll also just look where other people aren't, and that's what I think makes him such a great GM. Is there is no stone that's unturned when it comes to him. There's levels to every single decision he makes, and that's why every decision is usually a good decision, because it's well thought out. And it's thought of, if I'm drafting this player here, it's because I know I got this player that I want here, or this trade that I want over here. Nothing is lateral. It's all
highly calculated.
Yeah, it's highly
chess,
calculated.
not checkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess just real quick here before we go to break and continue similar conversation is he talked about with the money, the extra money they got in that same interview, and he's like, we're gonna focus on our guys in house first. But to what Chris was saying too, you have to be extremely careful with external ads. And again, I think my prediction of it all is if they get that blue chip guy, it's via trade, like I said. And I think, as you said before, what if you sign that blue chip guy off the market? And I'm not trying to win headlines in March. I want to win headlines in December. I think he's going to grab depth pieces, like multiple of mid to good guys. Glover Quinn, when we signed him, we weren't really we knew of him, but we weren't familiar as he'd be an all pro here in Detroit. Those type of signings. We're not paying the guy the world, but you're grabbing multiples of them, right? And then you make that blue chip through a trade where you have a relationship with a prior coach that you may have worked with the Rams, or Dan King may have worked with the Saints. They grab a Lattimore or something like that. There's prior relationships. It's what that player is before just giving him money.
Yeah.
You're acquiring him on a contract already.
He's not going to get burnt.
No.
Brad Holmes is not going to get burnt. I'm not worried about him making the Jamie Collins mistake or the Chandler Jones mistake.
Who's the one guy from the Patriots?
Trey Flowers.
Jamie Collins, Trey Flowers.
That one. Bob Quinn made him the highest paid at the time edge rusher.
Yeah.
I was never really comfortable with that because I just know how the Patriots are. Patriots only work with Patriots. That's been true since forever.
It's not going to be Brad Holmes. He's going to make smart, calculated decisions and bring in players that will be a great asset for the team going forward.
Even with guys internally, they're not going to reset the market with Goff. I love Amon-Ra. They're not going to reset the market with Amon-Ra. He's going to get paid, but I guarantee they're not going to reset the market in any of these positions outside of maybe, and I'm not even a maybe, it's for sure going to happen, Penei Sewell. That's the only contract I'm seeing from Brad Holmes in the reset of market.
I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's the only way you're going to attain him. He's currently, as Spain's been preaching all fucking year long, the best lineman in the NFL.
Yes.
At least for sure tackle. For damn sure.
He's the best offensive lineman in the NFL.